All my alarms are going off here. Okay. Okay, good. Oh, we're preparing. Come on. Oh, and we're live. Yay! Okay.
Hello.
Sometimes it doesn't always work, but it did today.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
hey, everyone. So welcome to Empowered Living. So I'm Lori Bertoni, and joining me is Paulette Kydd. And actually, Paulette, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and give a little introduction about who you are and what you do and why you do it. And I'm going to make sure we're on live. So you go ahead.
Okay. All right. I am Paulette Kydd. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, and I specialize in working with women who are 35 and over who are noticing that they don't have the energy or the brain capacity that they used to have, and it's really interfering with their ability to enjoy their life and to be productive. And these are type A women, and I say that in the most loving way. Type A, ambitious, motivated, and goal-oriented women. So they want to get things done. They want to make an impact in the world, and they're feeling like they're slowing down. Their body and their brain doesn't react the way it used to, doesn't respond the way it used to, and they really don't like it. And they're starting to feel like they're getting old, but they're way too young for that. So I help them to get back more energy, get back that brain clarity and efficiency that they're used to experiencing, so that they can keep living their life and enjoy it. So that's what I do.
I'm so happy that you do this because basically everyone in this group is success-driven and ambitious women. So they're going to relate to this. They're all over 35-ish. And a lot of them have already expressed to me that they're feeling the signs of menopause. They're, which is, a whole gamut of things, which is, issues with their body. Your body is aging. It's, it's going through the change. There's so many things that come along with this. Plus, we're caring for families. We've got aging parents. Like, we've got all the things going on, and we're spreading ourselves uberly thin.
Yeah.
And so, but that doesn't mean that you have to stop doing those things. What it means is that you guys just need to fine tune the machine, because at the end of the day, this meat suit that we have, it's only going to work and as best as we take care of it, like any car would. And so as much as I talked, and everybody knows that I come from many years of fitness background, but not specializing in nutrition. So this is really important that we get that nutritional aspect, because there's so many things going on around, right? And when it comes to boosting your energy and it comes to taking care of your physical health, they're actually two separate entities. Your energy and your body are separate, but in conjunction, it creates your power. So when you take care of your energy and you take care of your body, that's what makes you powerful. And then, of course, you tap in the whole relationship thing. It's like, many relationships struggle because we don't have energy left at the end of the day for our partner. We're so busy kids, so busy parents, so busy work that we're done by the end of the day, and our relationships are suffering more because of it. And so, when we're feeling, old and tired and not desirable, because especially as we age, and especially through menopause, and when our hormones, as you mentioned, are not regulated, then it starts to show in our body. And then we beat up ourselves, we beat up our body, and it's like, we need some other simple tools, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And
as we get older too, like that stress that we're experiencing, our bodies deal with it differently, right? Than when we were in our 20s and early 30s, especially as women. And so there are things you can do, nutrition related and lifestyle related, that can help mitigate that and help to lessen that response. But we have to acknowledge that our body is going to react differently to that stress, and that impacts your energy and your brain capacity and your weight. So weight is an issue too. So yeah.
And I know sometimes, because we're success-driven and ambitious women, we're always about doing more, and we can do it. And we're so goal-oriented, ambitious, and all those things. And that's wonderful. However, sometimes it's not necessarily about doing more, it's about doing less or letting go of some of the things that really aren't working in your life and only focusing on the things that are working in your life, right? And so it's really about fine-tuning the process as much as it is about fine-tuning our bodies. It's like, okay, what's really working for me right now? And because sometimes we think that we have to go with the masses or and the worst part I think sometimes about women in our age range demographic or whatever else is that we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people. And while it's nice to want what other people want, it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to have it or kill yourself to achieve it, right? Because I mean, it's good to see, look, oh, hey, look, I'd like to have that, or I'd like to have a body like that, or I'd like to have a car like that, or I'd like to have a whatever. But it's a process to get there. And we kind of think we look at ourselves sometimes as less than, but we're totally different. Other people, you can't compare yourselves to other people, their bodies, their relationships, their lives, their children, because we're completely unique and different. So we have to kind of look at what we've got, what is going to work for us, especially diet and nutrition. There's not a one size fit all. Like, there's so much out there right now, and keto obviously has been huge for the last couple of years, and it's gaining traction. And trust me, I've got nothing against it. Anything that you stick to or anything that you put time and energy and effort into is going to work. It's like, how do you maintain it though over a long period of time, right? And so, and so, but and that's why people try different things. This works, it doesn't work, right? But everybody's different, and so it's important for you to really respect your body enough to seek out a professional who's going to help you fine tune your nutrition and your diet for you. And that's something that you do, right, Paulette? Because that's your nutrition background. Because not everybody, we're not cookie cutter.
Exactly. Like you are basically saying what's in my head right now. Okay. And that's what I tell people all the time, is that there is no one perfect way to eat that works for everybody. And not only that, but what worked for you in your 20s and your 30s is not necessarily going to work for you in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s. Like, and so one of the key concepts that I teach people is to pay attention to how their body is reacting to whatever it is you're doing, whether it's supplements or food or exercise or sleep or whatever, because your body's going to change. It's constantly going to change. And one thing I wanted to mention too, Lori, in response to what you were saying about letting go of the things that don't matter or aren't serving us, I think that's one of the most wonderful things about being in the demographic that we're in, is that we've lived through a lot of stuff. We have experience, we have wisdom, and it's easier for us if we pay attention and listen to ourselves, listen to our intuition. We can more easily get rid of those extraneous things than we could when we were younger. Do you find that? Do you find that it's easier for you to figure out what is best for you right now?
Okay. Yes. And I am an anomaly sometimes for these things because I don't have time. I don't have patience. So for me, I can do that really simply and easily. Like, I'm all about what feels good. I'm all about what looks good for me. I'm all about what feels good. And so I'm really easy to, and not in a mean way, like you're out, that's out, but just focusing on the things that work for me, right? And of course I brag about this, and so because I want everybody to be able to know that they can do that too, and that it's not impossible, that they can be like, this is not working for me, it makes me feel like shit, I'm not doing this anymore. And sometimes we feel guilty, or we feel that we feel overly loyal to people. But when it comes to removing things out of your life that don't necessarily feel good, we're talking about relationships that are toxic, we're talking about food that's toxic, we're talking about thoughts that are toxic, we're talking about jobs that are toxic. And no, I'm not suggesting you go and quit your job tomorrow, but I am, you can reach out to me and totally talk to you. Actually, we have a career coach coming on soon. in a few weeks. I can totally talk to you about how you can put the things in place to allow you to start to make those decisions. So it just starts with a decision. It starts with you saying, yes, you know what? Something has to change, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you're feeling low energy, if you're feeling like crap, but yet have tried so many things, and we talked about this before, right, Paulette? Like, what are some of the things that these ladies have tried? Tell me,
So they're trying things like, they've heard on the internet that if they eat every 2 to 3 hours, keep their metabolism fueled, that they'll have more
blood
energy.
sugar
Yes,
leveled
that
out.
blood sugar, right? Yeah. And while that may be true in theory, what it's actually doing is keeping your blood sugar high and stable. You don't want that, because when you do that, it's telling your pancreas to pump out insulin, which it needs to do to get the sugar into the cells. But if you're doing that all the time, then that leads to insulin resistance, which leads to type 2 diabetes. I don't know if this is too sciencey for your group. I love talking about this stuff, but that's what we don't want to do. So we want to keep the blood sugar low and stable, not high and stable. So when they're eating every 2 to 3 hours, chances are they're eating a lot of carbohydrates, because they're going to have to carry food with them everywhere they go. So who's going to bring a refrigerator with them, right? So it's going to be things that, they either buy prepackaged foods that are ready to go, like granola bars and muffins and low-fat cookies and all of those kinds of things. Or they're making things at home, but it's mostly carbs, because they're easy to stick in your purse and whatever. So that just makes the problem even worse, because anytime you're eating carbs, you have high blood sugar, and then the insulin is there, right? So it's actually when it gets to the point where you've developed insulin resistance and possibly type 2 diabetes, then that's just making the energy and brain fog even worse, right? So you're basically messing up your metabolism by doing that. Now that all that to say, that might be okay when you're in your 20s, or even into your 30s, but things change. And after a lifetime of eating that way, then you're just setting yourself up for trouble. So that's one thing that I hear from women that they do a lot of. Or they're, as we mentioned earlier, but not paying attention to how your body's reacting. If you are under eating or overeating, and not listening to how your body's responding, whether it's, how your clothes are fitting, how your energy is, how your brain function is. If you're not listening, that's also a problem, right? So either way, whether overeating or undereating. Some women have read that if they exercise, if they do cardio, that will help to, get the blood flowing and give them energy. And yes, that's true to a certain extent. But if you're doing too much of it, you're basically, it's wear and tear on your body. You're not allowing yourself to recover if you're doing too much of it, and that exacerbates that energy drain and that brain fog as well. So doing the right kind of exercise, walking, is absolutely fantastic for that. Not dealing with stress is a big thing too, right? Or thinking that they can deal with the stress that the same kind of stress they've had all their adult life, not dealing with those things. And sleep is another thing. But essential oils is another thing that people try to help with boosting energy and mood. So I'm not saying that doesn't work, but it's not addressing the core problem, the root of the problem, right? And so any of those things, any supplements or superfood or anything like that might give them temporary energy, but if it's not addressing the root problem, then it's not going to be long lasting, and they're not doing anything for their health, right? So those are the big things.
Perfect. And because here's the thing, and you know what? It's okay, guys. Like, it's normal. That's what the internet is there for. There is a plethora. It is never ending advice and solutions out there in the internet out there for you. Never ending. How do you know that's the right one for you though? And you try it, you try one, doesn't work. You try another one, works a little bit, but then it doesn't work. You don't stick to it because it's not working, because it's not for you. So everything that you've tried and, let's say, failed at, but there's no such thing, but have tried and given up on, is because it wasn't for you. And so sometimes we give up, and that's okay. And you're just like, you know what, whatever, nothing's working. I'm just going to eat the crap and whatever else. And, I want to encourage you to keep trying, but you reach out to the professionals, because they're going to tailor it, just like you would go to see a personal trainer if you want, to get leaner and, whatever else, gain muscle or strength. They're the professional, just like you would, reach out to, a therapist or a coach for your relationship issues. They are the professionals. And sometimes, and then again, so someone, if you're, experiencing low energy or, hormonal issues, you want to reach out to a nutritionist because they are the ones that are going to help you tailor it specifically to you. And, I speak from complete personal experience. So while, yes, I'm the type of person, but I don't waste time. I go right to the source. I'm like, time is of the essence, you guys. Like, how much more time can you waste feeling like shit? Like, really? Like,
Yep.
what's it going to take for you guys to take the bull by the horns in your own life, your success driven and ambitious women, to start to take your health, your relationship, your career, your health, into account, like to make it, and I don't want to say even better, because here's the thing. We're aging. So as we age, we naturally degenerate, which means that you can't even ever maintain the weight that you're at right now if you're not always trying to um, get better, right? So your strength, if you're not, upping your weights, you're not maintaining. It's just going to naturally decrease. You can't just keep at 10 pounds. Eventually, you'll lose the strength. So you have to always be trying, and that can be exhausting in itself. So we can get a little bit up, plateau, and just coast for a little while, but then we got to work hard at it. It never ends. And sometimes I think that's what it is that we feel exhausted. But I think that it's realizing that you want to get to a point where you feel really good. And then as soon as you start to feel that, exhaustion, or it's like the long weekend, you know what I mean? Like we gear up, we're taking good care of ourselves. And then the weekend, and we're like, okay, this is our time. And that's the kind of the 80-20 rule sometimes, right? Where we can, let loose a little bit. But then Monday, we're tired, we're feeling like crap, our clothes aren't fitting, we're bloated, we're all these things. And then we get back on track on Monday. Monday's or Tuesday this week, right? Where we're like, okay, let's give it a go again. And that's what you constantly have to realize, is that's the reality. That's just how our bodies work too, right? And so failing forward is okay as long as you're seeking for solution, but reach out to the professionals, because they're really the ones that are going to really fine tune the solutions that are best for you. And they'll get you to know your history. And then you can tell them all the things that you've tried and all the things that didn't work. So then they can say, okay, now we know exactly what it is that you need to move forward. Because I think energy drain, because I really would love to see less people relying, on coffee and energy drinks for that energy,
for sure.
right? Because that's a big thing, that quick fix, right? Because
Absolutely.
we're busy.
And the thing is, they go to that quick fix, and they might feel good for like half an hour, but then it just plummets, because now their body has become reliant on that, and it's gone, it's out of their system, right? So it's just, it can often make them feel worse. I wanted to add to what you're saying about, looking for a coach. So finding a coach to help you with this really can help you save time, right? You don't have to go through that trial and error that they had to go through to get to the expertise that they have, right? Mm-hmm. And being as our clientele is very driven and busy and motivated and want to do things, like why would they want to waste time trying to figure it out for themselves, right? And the other thing that the coaches are really good for is to maintain momentum, right? So especially with something like where you're having to change what you're eating, or make new healthy habits, if you don't see results right away, or if you hit that plateau, you're much more likely to fall off or give up, right? But if you have a coach, or you have somebody keeping you accountable, or telling you that, that's normal, don't worry about it, just keep doing what you're doing, or let's make this tweak here, any of those things, the coach can help you stick to that, and so that it then becomes a lifelong habit, right? But if you don't have somebody like that you can fall back to and look for support, you're much less likely to achieve that goal, right? So then you're right back where you started, or worse, right?
Yeah, and when it comes to low energy, remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything in your life. So when you're feeling low energy, right? Remember that the things in our life that drain energy from us, it could be a relationship, a person in your life. It could be the food that you're eating that's draining energy from you. And it could be not only the things that you're doing, but it's the things that you're not doing, like maybe not even drinking enough water. Like
Yes.
water is the power source really for us because we're so much water, right? So when you have low energy, so because I deal with women who have relationship issues, that's something that I get a lot from them is that they're too tired at the end of the day to connect with their spouse, and they're too tired. Who's all said, no, honey, I'm too tired. Right? Like, and how many times have you heard from your spouse, no, I'm too tired, honey? Like, you know what I mean? And it goes both ways, right? And so having energy is important, reconnecting with not only your partner and your spouse, but it's also important for reconnecting with you, because when you have that energy and you have that we call it chi, or that life force back, where you're like feeling a little bit more vibrant and radiant, it's just going to spill over into every other area of your life. So I want you to think about the areas of your life that are really draining you. Like, what's really causing the energy drain? Is it your relationship? Is it really your health? Is it really your body? Do you really feel like, no, this is, is it the menopause or hormones? Like, I want you to really focus and think about, because it doesn't matter what area of your life is, because the tips that Paulette's going to give us today are going to boost any of those areas anyways, because it's, it just is going to, you do focus on one area and it just has this ripple effect into every other area of your life. So I'm excited because I'm like, ooh, what's this one tip that Paulette's going to give us? Because, there are times when I'm tired too, and I'm low energy. And so, what are one of the things that you want to share with us today?
So I start with breakfast with all of my clients. We've all grown up hearing that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and it is, but maybe not necessarily for the reason that you think. So, in fact, many of my clients will go on to not eat breakfast, or eat breakfast like much later in the morning, right? Not within an hour of getting up. So, but breakfast is key. And the reason, again, we're going back to that blood sugar balance and that insulin. So most of us are eating things like oatmeal or cereal or toast. Maybe some people are eating donuts or danishes, no judgment here, but all of those things are carbs, right? Even if you're eating like a whole grain bagel or a whole grain toast or steel cut oats, doesn't matter. All of those things break down into sugar in your body. They're carbohydrates. And so whenever you eat a carbohydrate like that, you are, your blood sugar is high. So then your pancreas has to release insulin to get the sugar out of your blood. It absolutely has to do that. It's actually life-threatening to have your blood sugar high for a long period of time. So it does what it's supposed to do. But if you've just suddenly flooded your blood full of sugar, insulin does its job, gets it out, then you're left with really low blood sugar. And anytime we have low blood sugar, we have low energy and we have brain fog. You get confused, you're lethargic, you're having trouble concentrating. Probably most of us have experienced that, right? It's usually with like an hour or so after you've eaten. So when that happens, again, your body goes into life-saving mode and it says, okay, we need some energy quick. And so it tells your body to go seek out food. And it knows that carbohydrates are the fastest way to get that sugar. So that's where those carb cravings come in. So then you eat more carbs and you just start that cycle. So if you do that first thing in the morning, and your body is actually more sensitive to it at first thing in the morning, to those carbohydrates. So if you do that first thing in the morning, you're just setting up your whole day for those highs and lows of energy high, then energy low, the cravings, the overeating, the brain fog, all of those things. And I usually tell people, if you have those symptoms, the fatigue and the brain fog, you're also probably going to have some belly fat. It's all part of that. Yeah, right? So probably most of us are suffering from that at some point. So by changing your breakfast to eating protein and fat and avoiding the carbs, you can avoid that blood sugar roller coaster. So then you can have more stable energy all day long. You can have more mental clarity, and you can eventually get rid of that spare tire around your belly. So that's where I start.
Protein and fat, like zero carbohydrates, first meal of the day. So it doesn't.
I'm not saying zero.
Okay.
I'm not saying zero carbs. I'm saying low carbs. So for breakfast, for a meal, I typically recommend that people eat 20 grams of carbs or fewer. Okay, so I would say most breakfast. So anything, I have a breakfast recipe book that I can share with your group, And all of those meals in there are 10 grams of carbs or less.
Oh, okay.
And some of them are things you can prep ahead of time. And some of them are things you can just do right first thing in the morning, like it takes minutes to prepare. Some of them
I love that. I want that. If you
yes,
guys want that, just let us know.
I call it my better breakfast recipe book. And so that's a simple thing that you can do to start your day off right and get more energy. So then if you have that more energy and you have that mental clarity, then you can, do those things that you want to do and maybe tackle some of those other areas in your life, as you mentioned, Lori, that are draining energy from you, relationships or other, habits that you have, things like that.
Absolutely, because you got to start from somewhere, right? And so sometimes it's, and you know what? I'm going to give you guys a secret. Okay. I'm going to tell you guys a secret, because regardless of what's going on in your relationships or what's going on in your health or what's going on, like when it comes down to just something as simple as breakfast, it's so you're honoring yourself. You're honoring. And you know what? Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day, because it's one of the ones that I have the most control over, because our day can slip away from us, right? Like lunch, we've got some control over, but sometimes, but sometimes not even lunch, because we're at work and people bring shit in from work and, right? Like, yeah. So you have to be really disciplined. So I love breakfast for that reason. I have the most control over it. But when you can honor yourself enough to start your day, think of it like a ritual. Think of it as a ceremony for your body, for your day, for your life, for your relationship, for your kids, which means that when you can give yourself that gift of proper nutrition, you're actually telling the people in your life how much you love them, because you're doing something so, I'm going to swear here, fucking important. Like, you have to fuel your body in a way that you love it. And if you love it, you're feeding it the stuff that it needs. Like, and it comes to you. Your relationship with everybody in your life, even your clients at work, stems from the relationship you have with yourself. And I love this, how simple it is a breakfast. Love yourself in breakfast. Can you do that? Can you do that, please? Like,
I should change the title of my recipe book.
Love yourself through breakfast.
Yes.
Right?
I like that.
It's the most simplest way that you can say you love yourself. And I'm not saying that if you don't eat, this healthy breakfast, you don't love yourself. But if you can't eat this breakfast one time a week, then I'm saying, yes, you have some work to do in that department. Right? So, why don't you just try it once and be like, oh, it's too much, it's like, it's a process, guys. It has to start somewhere. And so and I don't think I can, as opposed to, drinking water, which everybody knows, you already know you need to do that and you're not doing it. So, okay, let's start with breakfast. So, wash it down with a glass of water, right? So these are the little things. Like, this is the most beautiful, simple thing that you can do for yourself is at breakfast, eat protein, fat, and less than 20 grams of carbs. You can do it. It's easy, right, Paulette? They can do it.
It is easy. The food is delicious. And so, I even have recipes for those of you who love oatmeal and don't want to give it up. Like, that was me. I loved oatmeal. I probably ate it 3 or 4 times a week, but I found an alternative that's equally as satisfying and delicious. It doesn't do that to my energy and brain fog. And in fact, I didn't mention this to you prior, so I hope it's okay to say this, but I have a challenge coming up in with my group next week, where
thank you for letting us know.
I just didn't challenge. Yes, it's a boost your energy challenge, but the anchor of that challenge is starting with changing your breakfast. So it's a 5-day challenge, and it's a way to get people into that habit, right? And you're doing it with other people, supporting each other. So that would be a great way for people to try it out.
So success-driven and ambitious women of the world and of my group. So when you are wanting to do the things and you think, oh, I'm doing okay. I'm telling you, you could do better. You could probably up your game 10, 20, 30% by implementing this. How do I know? Just because I know. I have a history of 15 years before I got into mindset coaching of fitness, right? And working with and being an elite athlete myself. So I know the things you can accomplish when you have good health, good energy, and we don't even know our own um, limits, right? Like, you know, you are way more powerful and way more magnificent than we ever can, you, we, me included, than we can ever give ourselves credit for or think that we have the ability to do more.
Absolutely.
So, success driven and ambitious women, we already have it in us to push the envelope. So, I'm here to tell you, so if you've got zero, if you're feeling really low energy, okay, great. This should be a no-brainer for you. But if you're like, you know, feeling pretty good, I'm like, hey, why don't you try this anyways and see? Test it. Are you going to feel better? Could you fine tune it even more? Could you refine it any more? Like, what, when we say you're a success driven, ambitious person, like, what are your goals? Like, are they here? Are they up here? Are you like pushing the envelope? I'd love to know if you're really pushing the envelope, like where you're at, because you know, there's so many things that you can do to really make sure that you have more productivity during the day, that, you know, you're being able to be your best version of yourself, like with your kids, with your spouse, with your clients, right? Without exhausting yourself, without feeling, right? And I'm sure Paulette lives her life like that, right? Like I try to bring people on who, you know, practice what they preach. And I'm one of those people that I share with you guys all the things that I do all the time because it's what works for me. And then when people come on here and be like, oh, I have a challenge and breakfast, and I'm like, yes, like, let's do it. So I'm going to join that challenge, Paulette. And
All
so,
right.
and I want, you know, you guys join me. So let's all join Paulette's challenge to see like where we can take this, because I'd love to see, you know, how much more I can accomplish in a day and feel better at the same time too. Like, and have
Yeah,
energy to, you know, make love to my husband at the end of the day.
exactly. This could be life changing.
Right?
Yeah, it's one
So,
of my most popular challenges. Like I do it periodically,
yeah.
and I get people asking, when are you going to do it again? When are you going to do it again? So yeah, so I have it set to start on August 10th, and
When is it? August
so
10th?
once you're in, yeah. So a week from or this coming Monday it starts, yeah. And once you're in, you're in. So you every time I do the challenge, if you've already registered once, then you can just keep doing it. You need a reboot.
Do we get this better breakfast recipe book in this challenge?
You do, yeah.
Okay.
So
then
if you want to do the challenge, that's great, and you get the recipe book. If you just want the recipe book, I'm happy to share that too. So yeah.
okay. So PM me or Paulette for access. She's going to send you the information. So just PM her, either send her your email address. And then she will be able to connect with you individually to give you the link to whatever it is that the challenge or the book, whatever it is that you want. But I say go for the challenge. It's 5 days. Like anybody can do what I'm sure what she's asking for 5 days, because, you know, geez, what's the worst that's going to happen? Oh, you might have more energy. Oh, you might have less brain fog. Oh, right. Like might feel better. You might want to have sex with your husband. I don't know. Like those are all really good things in my book. So
yeah.
So what would you like to leave them with, Paulette, before, you know, we end this? Because this has been fantastic. But what do you want to leave them with? What's one message you want to send with these lovely ladies?
I want to empower you to realize that you have lots more to give. If you're feeling tired and you know, foggy, and you're feeling like maybe you're getting old and it's time to let those younger colleagues take over, I'm saying no. You have lots of living left to do. There's lots you can do. I just want to help you feel much better, and have that energy so that you can do those things. You know, like someone said this to me just yesterday, and it just broke my heart that she felt like her life was over. She said, not in like a teenagery dramatic sort of way, but just like the life that I knew even 5 years ago when I was full of energy and motivated and felt great, it's gone, it's over. And I said, no, it's not. You just have to start doing the right thing, and let me help you do that. That's what I want to say.
She wants to empower you in the Empowered Living group. Go figure. Gosh, I roll some really awesome people. So thank you so much, Paulette. Don't go anywhere because I'm going to get off the live. I'm going to sign off live and then we can chat afterwards. But thanks guys for watching. I've seen a couple eyes on here. So if you have any questions or comments, please just reach out to me or Paulette. Like, she's in the group too. So you can just type her name in the comments and then ask whatever questions it is that you have. And, you know, we'll see you next week. And because every week, Tuesdays during the summer at 12 o'clock, we're doing an Empowered Living podcast or vlogcast or whatever the hell you want to call it. Yeah. Okay, so don't go anywhere. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you.